Breaking news. JLR investigates with the breaking news. We're going to talk about a situation that has been occurring dealing with professional athletes and their homes being robbed. And just heard some new news about another athlete that recently had their home robbed while they were out. And it makes me go, here. And people are starting to say these certain robberies of certain athletes are connected. Let's talk. Come on in. So look at these two individuals on this thumbnail right here. Kansas City Chiefs players, star quarterback Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, right? They're star players. They're pretty like the face of the NFL, both of them, right? So they themselves were a victim at the beginning of October 2024 when they were both out, and on the 6th and the 7th, both of them had their homes robbed, possessions taken. Not only that, folks, but the month before that, Minnesota Timberwolves guard Mike Conley, he's a pretty good player, he's been around, I remember when he played for Memphis, he had his home robbed. And now Milwaukee Bucks player Bobby Portis just had his house robbed. And the FBI is investigating this whole situation. And it's possible, quite possible, every one of them is connected. There is a possible burglary ring out on the loose. Let's talk. Is it connected or not? Have you guys heard about these break-ins? TMZ had a big report. We were going to cover this a few weeks ago when TMZ put it out. I instantly went to Magnolia and I was like, is it a migrant burglary ring gang? You know, because they're saying the individuals who are doing this is very sophisticated. And it's a gang that's doing it. Someone that knows their stuff. Someone that is specifically targeting these athletes. And then we were thinking about, hey, the burglary rings that have been occurring around the country dealing with migrants that have been targeting wealthy people, particularly in Florida. They just indicted a bunch in New Jersey, a bunch arrested in Arizona. Makes me wonder a little bit. But then I'm thinking maybe not. Maybe this is some sort of burglary ring that specifically is, you know, Americans that are specifically targeting athletes. And, you know, knowing their patterns or knowing where they're going to be. Because each time these individuals had their homes burglarized, they were out and about. And some of them were attending games. So someone knows their pattern here a little bit. Let's talk. In case you're not familiar, I'm just going to play this short clip here to kind of give you an understanding. There's lots of things out there, but now people are starting to connect these recent burglaries with one another. And also, Bobby Portis with the Milwaukee Bucks has put out a $40,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of the burglary people that broke into his Wisconsin home.
The mega mansions of Kansas City Chiefs superstars Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes have been targeted by a ring of burglars. Kelce's estate was broken into at 7:33 p.m. while he was on the playing field October 7th during Monday Night Football. Travis and girlfriend Taylor only discovered the burglary when they got home. According to police, the burglars made off with $20,000 cash and caused $1,000 worth of damage to a back door on the property, which is apparently how they got in. Taylor and Travis were so creeped out, they reportedly spent the night at a Kansas City hotel. That's not all. It turns out the day before, October 6th, the home of Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes had also been broken into. It's not clear what was taken. Mahomes and Kelce live about 10 miles apart. Mahomes was asked about the incident today.
It's frustrating. It's disappointing. I mean, I can't get into too many of the details because the investigation's still ongoing, but obviously something that you don't want to happen to really anybody, but obviously yourself.
All right. So now that happened in October 6th and 7th. Month before that, Mike Conley in Minnesota has his home broken into. I'll show it to you right here. Burglars break into his home in Minnesota, Medina. So he's a star player. He's an athlete. Had jewels taken from him, so we'll go back to that. And now, Bobby Portis with the Milwaukee Bucks has his home breaking into. Just a few days ago, and he's putting out a plea for information. But it seems like the media now is trying to connect it all. Connect it as if they're all related.
Tonight, 2 NBA players may also be victims of a trend of home burglaries targeting pro athletes while they were away at games. In October, Kansas City Chiefs Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce's multi-million-dollar mansions were hit during their October 7th game against the New Orleans Saints. Now police are investigating whether the same group targeted NBA players.
Mike Conley!
Minnesota Timberwolves point guard Mike Conley Jr. in September and Milwaukee Bucks forward Portis Jr. just weeks ago.
While I was at my game yesterday, I had a home invasion and they took most of my prized possessions.
Portis taken to Instagram after capturing 2 masked men on this surveillance video breaking into his home, asking his more than 300,000 followers to listen to the robbers' voices for potential clues.
I am now offering a $40K cash reward for any information or tips that leads to the return of my stolen items.
The police chief involved in Portis' case telling WISN 12 News on Friday there are striking similarities between all 4 burglaries, adding that his department is in touch with investigators from each state and the FBI.
Obviously, it's frustrating, it's disappointing. But I can't get into too many of the details because the investigation's still ongoing.
In all 4 burglaries, no one was home. Local authorities tell us they are all investigating and would not release further information at this time. NBC News also reached out to the FBI for comment on the potential connection. We have yet to hear back. Hallie?
Thanks for watching. Stay updated.
Do we have a connection here? Is there a connection? Now, Portis himself put out a tweet. And I want to share this. I want to share what he says because he put this out basically saying, I consider Milwaukee my home. Last night, while I was at work, my home was burglarized and many of my prized possessions were stolen. If you have any tips or info, please send them to info@bobbyportis.com. Rewards for info leading to recovery or arrested. Now, he speaks. I'm going to share what exactly he had to say about this incident. Is it connected to Mahomes, Conley, and Kelce? Or any of them connected? Some of them might be connected, some of them not. You would think that Kelce and Mahomes, since they live 10 miles apart, they could be connected, and these other ones could just be an isolated incident, or could it be copycats, or just random people just targeting wealthy people, feeling like wealthy people. But I don't know why people would want to break into wealthy people's homes considering surveillance. And these guys got caught on surveillance. But let's listen to Bobby Portis here, what he has to say.
What's good, Milwaukee? Over the last 4.5 seasons, I've considered Milwaukee as a home. I've grown here, I come here a boy, and elevated into a man. The love you guys give me here isn't something that I ever felt before in my NBA career. And I've been in the league now for 10 years, over a decade. Can you believe that? So I've always felt like I had to give it right back to you guys. I've tried to uplift the community and make Milwaukee a better place. Giving food drives, talking to the youth on the regular, inviting underserved groups to the games, etc. You name it, I did it, and still doing it. As I've said before, this is a place I've considered home. So why not make my home a better place? I know we've gotten out to a horrible start to start the season, but while I was at my game yesterday, I had a home invasion and they took most of my prized possessions. If you have any info regarding this, please send the info to info@bobbyportis.com. Like I said, if you have any info regarding this, can you please send the info to info@bobbyportis.com. Any info that leads to the return of any of my belongings will be rewarded handsomely. I repeat, any info that leads to the return of any of my belongings will be rewarded handsomely. Let me know. Thank you.
$40,000 reward, he says. He says a $40,000 reward right here. He tweets out. Appreciate all support after the home invasion of my property. I am offering a $40,000 reward for any info that directly leads to the return of my items. So I'm assuming the items were probably like trophies and plaques and awards and memorabilia and all that stuff. That's, I know people have a lot of opinions, but he was able to capture the people on surveillance that did this. Now I want to know who these people are. Who are these people? Who are they? What do you think? Kids? They're dressed all covered up. Who could have done this crime? Same people that did Kelce and Mahomes and make Mike Conley. So somebody asked where he lived in Milwaukee. I believe it was the town of River Hills. River Hills. I'm actually going to put it in the map. Once I get Magnolia in the chat, we'll look it up in the map and show you the difference. But it's interesting.
Is there a crime ring specifically targeting athletes? Well, it's not being ruled. Is there a crime ring specifically targeting athletes? Well, it's not being ruled out, and the FBI is reportedly on the case. Look at this surveillance footage. It was just released by Milwaukee Bucks player Bobby Portis. He shared this, saying that it shows burglars ransacking his home while he was working. Earlier this month, he said while he was playing against the Cleveland Cavaliers, these folks here stole his prized possessions, and now he's showing this footage to you all to promote $40,000 that he's put up as a reward to lead to the return of what was taken. He also wants people with tips and information to go to his website, and he says you can remain anonymous. But get this, the River Hills, Wisconsin police chief who is investigating this crime says there are, quote, striking similarities, end quote, between what happened to Portis and what's happened to other high-profile athletes and owners. For example, in September, the Minneapolis Star-Tribune reported on 60-plus burglaries with similar MOs or modus operandi, like Wi-Fi jammers, GPS trackers, rental vehicles, and surveillance cameras. Victims include this guy, that's Jim Poland. He's the co-owner of the Twins baseball team. And this man, Timberwolves guard Mike Conley Jr. Now, at the time of the burglary, he wasn't playing, but he was attending a Vikings football game. And back in October, both Kansas City Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes and tight end Travis Kelce saw their homes burglarized. Mahomes' house is in Missouri. It's been featured on Netflix, and he says he's disappointed and frustrated, while Kelce's home is in Kansas and says thieves got away with at least $20,000 in cash. Now, the River Hills Police Department says it is in contact with counterparts in all those other states, and it says the FBI is assisting. The FBI itself, meantime, as you might imagine, is not commenting.
All right. So let me show you something here. Missouri. I'm going to show you something here. I'm going to put in 4 addresses here. I'm going to add four addresses. I'm going to add River Hills, Wisconsin, where Bobby Portis lived. I'm going to put Leawood, Kansas, where Travis Kelce lived. I'm going to put Benton, Missouri, where Patrick Mahomes lived, and I'm going to put Medina, Minnesota. These are the 4. Oh wait, where am I wrong? Where am I wrong here? Benton, Missouri. Might have another one. Give me 1 second. Belton, Missouri. That's why I put Benton. I'm like, what in the world? Belton, Missouri. Belton. So let me just put something here, Belton, and I want to show you. Here we go. Okay. That's better. There we go. Okay. So look, check this out. Connected or not connected? In a matter of just a few months, you have, and here's the United States for people who are watching around the globe. We always remind people we appreciate everyone that watches JLR Investigate. So what we have here, folks, is we have 4 individuals, athletes, 2 basketball players, 2 NFL players that had their homes burglarized. Right here, You have River Hills, which on the beginning of November, you have Bobby Portis' home broken into. You have September right outside Minneapolis in Medina, and you have Mike Conley's home broken into. Then you have October 6th and 7th, Benton, Missouri, and Leawood, Kansas. They're both 10 miles away. Kansas City stars Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. All of their homes broken into. Now, these are some significant distances before, but do we have a traveling burglary ring that is traveling around from state to state targeting athletes? It's interesting. It's just the FBI. Now, the FBI is investigating this, and it makes you wonder if any of these burglaries are connected in any way. It seems like they're in the Midwest. It's interesting. You know, maybe they're all traveling through Iowa to get to locations and they're targeting athletes, targeting athletes and scouting out these athletes and scouting out, where they live. Because, you can identify where these athletes live based off public record, right? Or do we have insurance scams going on? Because I see a lot of people in the chat also saying insurance scams. This is insurance scams. I don't know about Portis, because Portis actually had 2 people on there. But people are saying it in the chat. Let me know your opinion here. Is this a migrant gang going around targeting communities? Do they live in gated communities? I don't know their addresses offhand. But you would think if the FBI is investigating, FBI doesn't just investigate burglaries, right? That's usually the local police. But according to TMZ is saying that the FBI is investigating. FBI, which means interstate commerce. Interstate commerce. Do they feel that people are jumping across state lines, organized, and are doing this? Why are they targeting these people? Well, how do they know these people? Like, don't these athletes have butlers, maids, posses, their own groupies staying in their home with them? And you mean to tell me that Mahomes and Kelce, when they leave their mansions, their mega mansions or their big mansions, they don't have people inside there just sitting there? It seems like what I'm hearing is the FBI, or what I'm hearing with these reports that I'm reading, is these sophisticated people know how to trick surveillance and stop it and try to beat through security. You would think they have alarms, but apparently they did have alarms. That's the way I'm reading it. They've had alarms. So what's going on? Is it one of their inside jobs? Is it one of their homies? One of their entourage that did it, Or is it someone within their inner circle that they've shared information with, someone that knows them best? And each one, I'm not saying they're all connected, but they're saying there's a possible connection. But do they, each individual have somebody within their inner circle, and their inner circle's talking and saying, yo, Mahomes got money. I've been in the house. Mahomes got money. Mahomes got money in the safe, under the bed, in his closet. That's a possibility, right? Maybe, maybe not. People also said in the chat, Wi-Fi jammers. Wi-Fi jammers. Law and Crime did a pretty good report on this, explaining what's going on. It came within the last 24 hours. I think it's all connected, personally. My opinion, I think these are all connected. And I think the FBI is involved because the FBI believes it's connected. But they're not going to tell us anything. Yeah, these athletes, some of these athletes have insurance, right? Insurance covers that, right? A lot of home insurance policies, cover $500,000 worth of stuff in your home. 100,000 different policies, 50,000. You know, I'm sure these people live in multiple $1 million homes, right? Probably got $250,000 of personal loss when it comes to this. But when you got somebody like Bobby Portis, who's claiming, you know, it's some of his possessions, I can understand his frustration, because sometimes those type of things can't be replaced. You can replace TVs, you can replace computers, you can replace all types of jewelry, but can you really replace like memorabilia and awards and things that you accomplished over the years? You know, you can't really replace that. Rings. And was Portis on the team when they won a ring? When the Bucks, because I know the Bucks won a ring. Was he on the team when the Bucks won Super Bowl rings? You know what I mean? He's a pretty popular guy, 183,000 subs. But he's like, he wants a $40,000 reward. See, but he also puts the message out, because sometimes these fools, right, these burglars, want to go up to the nearest pawn shop to unload the stuff, or try to sell the stuff on the black market, or try to sell it. I mean, because if you have a bunch of Bobby Portis memorabilia, how are you going to get rid of it and make the money? Are you just going to keep it, but you're going to have to keep it forever because everyone's going to be on the lookout for it? Right? What's going on here, folks? So Law and Crime has a good report. We're going to just sit here and play this. I'll get Magnolia in the chat. Stay with me, man. Let's follow the story. The story's interesting, and I'm a little bit curious, because I have a feeling we'll probably wake up tomorrow morning or the next day, and we'll hear someone else's athlete's home. Is this a growing trend, a fad? Is this a way where people think, hey, go target athletes? It's sweet. They're easy. They got money. I don't know.
NFL superstars Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are targeted in back-to-back burglaries only hours apart. Investigators say $20,000 cash was stolen from Kelce's mansion while the tight end was on the field taking on the Saints at Arrowhead Stadium. Now, authorities say a multi-state organized crime gang could be responsible for the break-ins. Here's everything we know so far. The Mahomes mansion was targeted first. It was about midnight on October 6th when his Benton, Missouri home was ransacked. Then, just 24 hours later on October 7th, Travis Kelce's mansion in Leawood, Kansas was also targeted, this time during the Chiefs' Monday Night Football game. Investigators soon determined that thieves broke into Kelce's home through the back door and stole $20,000 in cash. As of right now, we're still unclear what, if anything, was taken from the Mahomes burglary, or whether his pregnant wife and 2 kids were home at the time. What makes these break-ins even more startling, though, is the timing. The Travis Kelce break-in happened when his pop star girlfriend Taylor Swift was in town for his game. The Chiefs won that game and their next 4 to maintain their undefeated season, bringing their record to 9-0. But the night of the burglary, T. Swift threw her boyfriend a birthday party after the Chiefs' victory. So Travis Kelce didn't return home to his mansion until the early morning hours of October 8th. That's why an emergency call came in 6 hours after the break-in. Reports also say that same night, Swift and Kelce played it safe and stayed at a hotel rather than his home. Local investigators are still working to piece together what exactly happened, but now the FBI has joined the case. Because the burglaries happened in 2 different states, Kansas and Missouri, multiple local agencies have teamed up with the feds, including the Cass County Sheriff's Office and the Leawood Police Department. Experts say the decision to involve these federal agencies suggests these burglaries could be more severe than just random acts of theft. Instead, they could be tied to organized criminal activity that may have crossed state lines. Sources indicate the FBI is now looking into a string of similar break-ins in nearby neighborhoods. So far, we've only heard from Patrick Mahomes about these burglaries. He addressed them for the first time on Wednesday, saying, "Obviously, it's frustrating, it's disappointing, obviously something that you don't want to have happen to really anybody, but obviously yourself." Patrick Mahomes and his wife Brittany bought their 8-acre plot of land in September of 2020, where they set out to build their dream home. By summer 2023, the Mahomes family had officially moved into their new lavish estate, located just 30 minutes outside of Kansas City. The couple live at the compound along with their 2 young children and soon to arrive third child. The property features stunning amenities, including a private 50-yard football field, a pool with a swim bar, and a custom-built golf course.
Whoa.
Travis Kelce's home in Kansas, purchased just over a year ago, is no less impressive. The 6-bedroom, 6-bathroom mansion sits on 3.5 acres of land in a gated community and features an outdoor kitchen, tennis court, in-ground swimming pool, and a mini golf course. No word yet about the security situation on both of these homes, but we can tell you the investigation into both burglaries still remains open. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here in these back-to-back high-profile burglaries, and for that, we're going to turn to Police Sergeant Kyle Schoberg. Thank you so much for coming on with us today.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me on. Sorry, I'm in my car right now. I'm at work, but yeah, it's an honor to be on the show.
No. It just shows that you are, in fact, a police officer, so we're glad to see that. So your expertise is really what I want today, because we're talking about these back-to-back burglaries, and to me, right from the jump, they have to be connected, right? I mean, these are 2 teammates. Their homes are very near each other. I mean, they seem connected, right?
Yeah, I mean, everything would line that I don't think that'd be a coincidence. I agree with you. I do believe that these are probably going to be related with the same suspects involved in both of them.
I mean, this also jumped out to me that these are football players. Obviously, they're living these high-profile lives on social media. People can, follow along, know where they're going to be, especially if it's a Sunday night, or in this case, it was a Monday night at the football game. To me, that was crazy that these people were like, okay, we know he's going to be at the stadium. That's why we're breaking in. What do you make of that?
Yeah.
Well, I think when you look at that, I mean, most of America knows when they're going to be playing in these games. And so that would be a huge broad of people to try to wonder, well, who could be involved in this? And so I think when you actually look at these cases, you're right. I mean, these are 2 very high profile people. And to think that some random person was involved in this, I believe that to be highly unlikely. It also strikes me a little strange that there's not a whole lot of information put out on this on the news. I mean, the football players, Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce have not given statements about this publicly. The Sheriff's Department and the FBI that are investigating this case, they have also not given a whole lot of information. That would kind of lend me to believe that these aren't just random people. And so they probably either have an idea or maybe even know possibly who these people are. I mean, these guys don't have just ordinary houses. I don't even know, how somebody would just break into their homes while they're at a football game for a couple hours. That doesn't really make sense to me. So, I mean, this could be anything. It could have been somebody that works at their house who has access to their house. I mean, who knows how many people are involved in these guys' lives that have access to their homes. And so they know their personal lives and when they're going to be there, what their security is like, all of those things. And so that's probably the angle that they're looking at, and just trying to narrow down exactly who it is that's involved in these burglaries.
Well, you're right in that we don't know that much as of right now. We know that $20,000 cash was stolen from Travis Kelce, but we're not even sure what was stolen, if anything, from Patrick Mahomes. Do you think there's a reason why investigators would kind of be keeping that information closer to the vest?
Yeah, I believe that there was probably some memorabilia in there from maybe his football stuff. Those things are worth a lot of money, and they don't want the general public to know exactly what was stolen, because only the thieves are going to know, or the suspects are going to know what exactly was stolen. So the more information that the cops are going to put out there, that's just only going to hinder their investigation. So a lot of times when you have a high-profile case, you do want to keep a lot of information close to the investigation, and you're not going to publicly release stuff, because you just, quite frankly, you don't want everybody to know. So that way, when they do contact whoever it is that these people are, they're only going to know that information because they were directly involved in it. And so the less information the cops put out, it actually works in their favor a lot of the time.
I think you're right in saying, I mean, we know that $20,000 cash obviously is a lot of money, and if anything was taken from Mahomes' house, it probably would be of value, because both of these houses are wildly big. They're mansions. I mean, they have their own football field on one, a pool in another. I mean, they're very nice houses. That also gets me thinking, why wouldn't they have some sort of security team, whether it be the guards there or a system? Is that something that these burglars could have hacked, or they just don't have one?
Oh, they have one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when you first read this report, you kind of think to yourself, well, there's no way. How did somebody get into their house? And you can you can bet that they have a very high-profile security team, especially with, Travis dating Taylor Swift, and apparently she was in town the night of this incident. She was staying at some hotel near the stadium for the football game. So, yes, they definitely have a security team that is there 24/7 at that house. I'm sure of it. So, yeah, that begs the question, well, how did somebody get through that security? And so that's why I believe the investigators are keeping this very tight-lipped, because they probably have an idea that who these people could be, and so they're going to keep that close, and they're just not going to release a bunch of information. They don't want that to get out to the general public.
You brought up Taylor Swift, and honestly, we can't really talk about Travis Kelce without talking about Taylor Swift. They kind of go hand in hand here. And I mean, you are right. She was in town at the time. She's debatably the biggest celebrity in the world right now. Does any of that matter? The timing that Taylor Swift was so close to the burglary at Travis Kelce's home?
Well, I mean, look, I don't know that it should be a bigger deal than it actually is, but other than the fact that she's a very high profile celebrity, and with that, she's brought that status to Travis. Now he's getting all this attention, because of that. And so that's why the FBI is involved. I mean, they're not going to take this lightly by any means. But I can bet you they probably told Taylor, anybody in the Mahomes family, the Kelce family, not to give a public statement about any of this, which is why they probably haven't. Because they do want to catch who these people are and get whatever it was that was stolen. There's no way somebody broke into Patrick Mahomes' house and didn't walk away with some type of high-value product. So they're going to track that down. There's ways to do that, especially if it's not just cash. I mean, cash is very difficult to track down, if at all possible. So the $20,000, that's probably going to be gone. But whatever was stolen memorabilia-wise from either both homes or one of the houses, they're going to be able to track that stuff down, and I bet you that's probably what they're focusing on right now.
You're right. We haven't heard much from any of them. Patrick Mahomes did say something. It was pretty vague, though. It was just, yeah, this is really unfortunate. I'm sad that it happened, but none of the specifics. So they are kind of keeping that part close. But you mentioned the FBI, which is interesting to me too, because obviously we have these local agencies that are working on this investigation, but then the FBI gets brought in. You mentioned because there are a bunch of high profile names here, but could it be something more? Could organized crime be involved?
Yeah,
very well could be. I mean, let's say it was an organized crime, group of people, and they're traveling over state lines and stuff like that. I mean, the FBI would get involved for that. You also got to think too. I mean, the size of the agency that's investigating these big, high-profile burglaries that have occurred. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on these agencies to solve those crimes when you're dealing with that type of thing, and they may not have all the resources and things that the FBI has. They have a lot of tools, people, resources, things that most police agencies and sheriff's departments just don't have. And so a lot of times when you have calls like this, you can shoulder tap the FBI, and they will, in certain circumstances, come in and help you with the investigation, just merely by offering the resources.
What do you think these investigators, these authorities are telling the Mahomes family, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift about all of this? Is it possible that these burglars would return? Should they be keeping guard? I mean, what do you think they're saying?
Shush.
Well, I think anything like this, look, I've had my house broken into in college, and I felt very violated. And so I can only imagine what they're feeling like, right? Like, they're probably wondering, how did this happen with the amount of security that they do have? So I'm sure they're feeling very violated. I mean, even though they're high-profile people, at the end of the day, they're still people. And so they probably are wondering the same thing. And a lot of times when you do have people break into your house or steal your things, there's always that thought or fear that, are they going to come back? And I've been doing this job for 19 years, and in most cases, that doesn't happen. People usually come in, take what they want, and then they're out. It'd be very unlikely that they would return. So I don't think that threat level is necessarily should be on the forefront of their mind, but they're probably not also giving a public statement too, because the investigators are asking them not to. And so they're trying to cooperate with the investigation. But to answer your question, I think it would be unlikely that these people came back and violated them a second time.
Investigators have also said that they're taking a look at similar crimes in the area, whether other people had break-ins, if they had nice houses, if things of value were taken. It kind of gets me thinking, though, because both of these guys are traveling across the country all of the time. The world sometimes, now that they have football games in Europe and Brazil and everywhere. But so the fact that these people are traveling all around, I mean, does that kind of expand it even more? If this is organized crime, they could span the country or the world.
Could be an international migrant ring.
Where they're traveling, who knows where Travis is and Patrick are traveling on their off time, right? Especially with Taylor traveling all over the world doing concerts. We know that he's been participating in some of these concerts, and so they're going to beef up their security. But yeah, that is also a good reason why to bring in the FBI, because they can go abroad and investigate those types of things where a local agency just wouldn't be able to do that.
So at that point, let's say that this is international, because you're right, Taylor Swift has traveled all over the world for her tour that's wrapping up shortly. But so would they speak with other investigators? I mean, Interpol, for example, would they work with them and say, here's what we have, what do you have? What would that look like?
Yeah, so anytime you have an investigation where you believe it could be connected to either another state, another county, a jurisdiction, it doesn't matter where it is, it could be somewhere across the world. Agencies are going to communicate with other agencies and try to link cases together. And if there's some type of nexus there, then they'll work together to try to collaborate. And any information either agency has, they're going to want to share that with each other to help bolster the investigation and ultimately solve it.
We're kind of speculating here that this could be an international crime. We don't know that for sure, but it's possible. But as of right now, what do you think the FBI, what's up their sleeve? What's their next move into this investigation?
Oh, I mean, there's so many different things that they're working on. I have no doubt that they're working around the clock probably on this. I'm sure they have a lot of good leads. I mean, there's a ton of cameras out there. Probably a multitude of people that they've already investigated. They probably have a list of people they're going to investigate. Anybody involved in that family who has access to anything, they're going to get investigated and interrogated. There's a lot to do on their part to get this wrapped up, but who knows what their next move is, because they're not saying anything. It could be literally anything.
Because they're not saying anything.
All right, we're done listening to him. But he does have a lot of points here. Let's get Magnolia in the chat, just get her take real quick. But I think it is connected. I do think it's a burglary ring that is jumping off states. I don't think each one was an isolated incident. FBI knows things. They probably have surveillance. They probably have some sort of street cams and know when these people come in and out. Hello, Magnolia.
Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hello. Hello. So I'm going to get this thumbnail right here and talk to us here. What's your take on this? Connected? Not connected?
Yeah, I think it's definitely connected. In fact, probably all four of them are connected. When you show it on the map, I mean, it's all there in the same region. Some people in the chat said maybe the Swifties did it.
Well, they were almost implying a long crime as if, oh, yeah, Swift in town and this happens. As if, like, it's somebody on Swift's end did it.
Yeah, the Swifty burglary gangs are running amok. Yeah, I don't know. So normally with celebrity break-ins, it's almost always someone who is on the fringes, not necessarily someone that's in their inside circle that's like close to the person, but they're almost always somebody that's like on the fringes that might know somebody, maybe knows a security guard or something like that. Because in order to pull off a break-in at a celebrity home, you have to have inside information. Unless you're just like a crazy random stalker, like some people experience. But when it comes to these types of break-ins, they have to know where to go. In Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce's case, I know their houses are in gated communities. So number one, they have to be able to get into the gate. Number two, they need to know about all the different security cameras, any type of burglary alarms. Is there a safe in the house? Where is the safe? Is it in a closet? What's the combination? If we open the safe, is that going to trigger an alarm to the police station? You have to have all that information for one of these heists in a celebrity home, because they are going to have probably state-of-the-art security systems. So you kind of have to have this inside knowledge to pull it off. So it could be someone who's on the periphery, maybe is feeding information, but it does seem to be connected because it's very sophisticated. If you look at that video of the break-in that Bobby Portis posted,
Yeah, these guys here.
you can see the burglars on that video, and you can tell that these people are professional. You can tell by the way they're dressed. You can tell by the way they are signaling each other. You can see he's giving instructions. So they know what they're doing. They're not just haphazardly, randomly trying to break in. They have a plan. They know what they're doing. So they have to have some type of info, and they probably could have paid someone for info.
Notice the faces are covered. Notice the faces.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're professionals. These are not just like random burglars. These are professionals. They have their backpacks on. They've got flashlights on their helmets. They're ready to go. So they know what they're doing. And you also see that they're not rushing. They don't really look nervous at all. They just look like they're there to do a job, get in there, get out. So, houses like this, you have to have a lot of information. So it's possible that this gang, whoever it is, might have befriended someone on the security team and paid them some money to get some information to pull this off. I mean, there's really no telling, but clearly it's connected because the FBI is investigating and seems to believe that it is an interstate ring that's doing this.
If you're looking here, what would you say the races of the individuals that are here? Do you think they're black, white, Hispanic? What do you think? What I mean, to me, I don't know. I want to say African American, but I'm not so sure. Like I can't tell, but it feels like I don't feel like they're white people. Do you understand? Like I'm trying to understand because of course everyone's trying to figure this out. Everyone's trying to what's the race of the people that did this? What do you think? Do you have opinion?
Yeah, it looks like they could be black or maybe Hispanic because
somebody said white hands.
Yeah, in the one shot, this person on the right at the top of the frame, his hands look very light. So that's why I said maybe Hispanic. But then again, you know what? They could also be wearing gloves. So, in fact, they probably are wearing gloves.
Why are they wearing white, though? That's white? That's white?
And also their shoes. I'm wondering if they've got some kind of shoe coverings on their shoes to not leave footprints.
But
yeah, I mean, they're professional. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, but you're the vehicle that you're going. Like these people live in neighborhoods, man. They live in gated communities. They live in like neighborhoods with cul-de-sacs and everything like that. You mean to tell me no surveillance out there of vehicles coming in to the neighborhood that the police have released?
Yeah, you'd have to. Yeah, there would definitely be cameras. I would think coming into the gate, there was probably cameras there at the gate. Different houses would have cameras. So they could have cased it ahead of time and maybe got in a different way. Maybe they didn't go in through the security gate out front.
Or walk through neighborhoods and park somewhere else.
Maybe they hopped the fence. Yeah, I mean.
But if that's the case, they know what they're looking for, like very light, like what, like jewelry, bonds, like what can you put in a backpack that's valuable? Like I mean, it's not like they're taking TVs out, and there's no value in TVs or anything like that, and big things like computers. right? Plus they're traceable. I mean,
probably looking for jewelry and cash and things like that. I think Patrick Mahomes mentioned that he had some of his jerseys stolen when they broke into his house. Now, this footage we're looking at here isn't this?
This is Bobby Portis's. This is
Bobby Portis's house.
So this happened in River Hills, Wisconsin, on November 2nd.
Yeah. So this is just. I don't think we have surveillance from the other break-ins, but we have this one. And you can be sure the FBI is combing through this. I don't
personally
think that this is too complicated. I think that they'll solve this.
Magnolia, I think it's a Venezuelan gang. My opinion.
Yeah.
I think it's a Venezuela Tren de Aragua.
Yeah, it could be. And, some people in our chat might remember a couple months ago we played. There were actually a couple back-to-back that we showed where there were these migrant gangs in Florida that were targeting affluent Asian American neighborhoods. So, Grady Judd, we showed the press conference where he kind of laid out in detail how the scams worked. And they were kind of going around and just doing this at different homes in the areas. So, you have to remember that these Venezuelans and a lot of these criminals coming in from those types of countries, robberies and burglaries and all that kind of stuff is like second nature.
It's easy
where
for
they're
them.
from.
Yeah. But look at this,
this is culture in Venezuela with the gangs. So they kind of come and bring it here. But it's really
but Magnolia,
it's
look,
really weird that there's all four of these players that have all four been targeted.
So here is the U.S. Attorney's Office District in New Jersey, and earlier this year they busted a six Chilean nationals charged in connection with residential burglaries in multiple states. And I'm not going to read it all, but it's similar to what's happening here. They're jumping states, doing affluent neighborhoods, and breaking in and stealing things. And the same thing happened in Arizona, and as we've discussed in Florida, with Grady Judd saying that this is a sophisticated international burglary ring dealing with migrants.
Yep.
Now, we're not saying migrants did this, but it's just it's strange that this is popping up all over the place.
Well, yeah. It's a trend, and we know that these gangs are popping up all over the place. It's a trend all over the country. So why wouldn't this also be the same thing? Because, it's fairly common for a celebrity or somebody to have their house broken into. But what's not common is multiple people that are all, professional players or whatever. Usually it's like a one-off, or there might be a couple homes that they target. But for it to be like four different players, we're talking about September, 2 in October, and then one just happened the other day. It's a pretty short period of time.
Here's another article coming out of Arizona from Chile. Gang of illegal immigrants target high-end Phoenix area homes and burglaries. And this was earlier this year. So, again, it's the same type of MO. They've been going around, look, the group is responsible for at least 111 incidents since February 2023. Jewelry, cash stolen. So, and then I'll get the Florida one up here. Florida's dealing with the same thing on multiple levels. South Florida and also in Polk County. And also what we were just discussing in Pinellas County with the migrant burglary rings. And the burglars are going into Pinellas County doing this stuff after the hurricane, remember?
Yep.
It's just the fact that the FBI is involved with this makes me feel, if it's a local burglary ring, it's going to be local police. It's going to be state police. So obviously they feel there's a nexus connection that is over interstate lines with this.
Well, it's too much of a coincidence. It can't be be a coincidence, basically. I mean, you have Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce who play for the same team, basically a day apart. They're getting their homes robbed, and also two NBA players. So it's 4 professional athletes in a very short period of time in different locations.
This happened.
It's way too much to be a coincidence.
Sheriff Grady Judd, group of illegal immigrants stole nearly $1.7 million in property across Florida, cash and jewelry.
Yep.
So Arizona, Florida, New Jersey, what other states? And these are, these people got caught, but I think that's, I'm just feeling like this is something here, but I could be wrong. And each one could be totally unrelated. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to just sit there and say, well, it's migrants that did this, but I just have, my gut tells me that could be the scenario in this situation. A sophisticated burglaring migrant ring of people targeting people in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Anything else to add, Magnolia?
No, but Ernest made a good comment. He said Mahomes' neighbor just had an in-ground pool installed. I know the contractor and all his men are being questioned.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about when I say people on the periphery, people on the fringes, people who might know somebody who knows somebody. It's not necessarily going to be someone that they know directly, but yeah, it's like you could have the next door neighbor working on as a contractor installing an in-ground pool. Maybe he's a Hispanic. Maybe he has connections to these gangs. Maybe he says, hey, I can help you figure out how to get into his house. I'm doing a job right next door. I can give you some info. I know the gate code. I know this and that. And he gets a little bit of money from the gang, and then they plan the operation and do it. So that's what I mean. It doesn't necessarily need to be someone who knows them. It can be just really anyone who has access.
Corrupt employees out there. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll see what pans out of this, and we'll continue to update this if we find anything else dealing with this. But it is interesting, and it makes you go home, and I'm glad we did this live this evening.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Magnolia.
All right. Thanks.
All right, folks, let me know what you think in the comments, and we'll keep our eyes on this, and we'll see if another athlete gets targeted, or will these, it's possible that these criminal gangs know the FBI's on them and might lay low for a while. We will see. And if someone gets arrested out of any of these 4 burglaries, Conley, Portis, Kelce, or Mahomes, we'll share, and we'll shame them on JLR Investigates. We'll shame the identities of the burglars and put their mugshots up here and figure out why they did it and who they are. All right, folks, we cover true crime 24/7, 365. Let me know what you think. JLR Investigates. We'll talk soon. Have a good evening, everyone. Be safe. Lock your doors. Get security cameras. Get a guard dog. Get some dogs. Maybe if you're rich and you got a lot of money, just have some people in your house at all times. Somebody in the house at all times. It's a wild world out there. Your home is your sanctuary. I would feel extremely violated if anyone came here to do a crime. We covered Moscow, Idaho, get murdered inside a home. I mean, people can be victims in their own homes, and it's scary. It's scary out there, So be safe out there, my friends. Have a good day. JLR Investigates.